1, go!
Welcome to the Second Count, your source for tournament results, storylines, and analytics set to the tune of your speakers. I'm your 2 weeks absent, former yet possibly current host, Vayseth, joined here by my lovely co-hosts, Suar and Sage.
Wow, I'm so flattered.
Who do absolutely terrible impressions of me, but that's why it's funny. It was as funny when we did it when Suar wasn't around, so it definitely made me get a couple giggles. I got to hear 2 weeks of it.
I don't know, man. I think I was pretty on point.
I dropped the ball.
Your voice isn't raspy
Oh yeah,
enough
Sage does do the numbers.
The numbers.
Yeah, you actually probably... No, it's the numbers.
Those are the exact same.
They're not even... Alright, whatever. So, yeah, I'm back from Japan. I was in basically a coma for 2 weeks. I literally slept through the... Actually, I technically woke up just in time, but was so delirious that I was like, you know what, I'm going to take another week off.
You weren't a real person. You got on, and I just heard...
I'm so mad. Yeah. But no, I'm glad to be back. We could talk a little bit about Japan, since I'm sure you guys probably have some questions, and I'll let you get the commentary thing out of your system. But first, Suar, how you doing?
Good, I'm pretty well. I'm in ELO hell for League of Legends, so I hate myself every day.
Oh. I mean, you've been making a name for yourself on Twitter. Everyone keeps talking about you every time I look.
Well, no, ELO hell for League of Legends.
No, I know, but I mean just in general.
What happened?
Other than that.
Oh.
Well, I mean, like, you're making, pretty good tweets, and people are noticing, and, like, they're adding you, they're mentioning you a lot more, and most relevant conversations always seem to circle back to you, so it's kind of cool to see you always in the conversation.
And a curse, but it's rounding out nicely in terms of how the season's turning out and how people are starting to see more validity in the things we're doing as we are more transparent with stuff. So it's nice to be included, at least for now, before it's like incessant and nonstop.
For sure. And if you like the last 3 episodes, that was all 100% written by Suar, so you can give him extra props. But
Aww.
How's my favorite streamer 90-hour work week doing over there, Sage? How you doing?
Still good. Closing in on final prep. I'm gonna take this weekend off and go to Combo Breaker. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, Combo Breaker, I wanted to go so bad.
I don't actually have to do any work for that, so it's gonna be the first tournament I've been doing in a really long time that I'm just gonna like go say hi and like watch. I'm actually not even going to watch Smash really. I'm mostly going because I really want to watch Injustice.
Oh, yeah, that's the other buzzword everyone's going on about.
It's so good. I love the NRS games. Injustice 1 was a big reason that I started playing fighting games competitively, besides like All-Stars.
Oh my god, PlayStation All-Stars.
Leave me alone, I played that game. Hey, so
you
did
love
Bam.
that game.
You know Bam worked on the last balance patch for that game?
That's a lot. Yeah, no, you also, we kind of did a cool thing by releasing the small PGR for the MKX community, which received a little bit of attention, and that immediately got swept away because Injustice 2 was released the next day, which went as planned.
That's all right. That's all right.
But we marked all the people to watch out for, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of the 15 people on there, Sonic, Scar, Foxy Grandpa, Wild Cowboy, wins Combo Breaker this year for Injustice, because they've been labbing since they got the game early, and they're ready. I mean, the fundamentals transfer over immediately.
I mean, you saw Biohazard got second at Toryuken last weekend, so you definitely are going to see some names from the MKX PGR pretty much across the game. It's relatively similar, just with like a different button scheme.
Yeah, and it's kind of like anime fighters, where like a lot of it carries over, and it's kind of like the same people into it, so you have a lot of people playing the same games.
Yeah, and we'll see if like the transition takes hold finally, because MKX like kind of really died. But Injustice, which is the same developer, is the new thing. But like, it's also interesting like how they survive these changes over and over every couple years, because I mean, Smash is just such a, you can't compare it because it's so different, but the other fighters also experience those changes, so we'll see how that happens.
Yeah, other fighters, they tend to have updates almost on the yearly, or significant changes almost on the yearly, so it's a little bit different. But we have an awesome Q&A show for you guys, and before we get to the numbers, I want to wrap all this up, in 10 minutes so we can spend a lot of time on these questions. All right, guys, you can say whatever you want about commentary. I'm letting you do it. You have 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, so okay. Since Vayseth has been gone in like one podcast light year, or no wait, light years or distance. God damn it. Okay, he's been gone in like podcast years because it's been 2 weeks, but he did commentate at Umaburo Japan Major to the delight of many, and that was really cool. I'm really glad you were able to do that because it brought a very awesome dynamic to the stream that nobody was expecting, and also because it was so late in the time zones and stuff. I mean, that was pretty good on you, man.
Dude, combined, we got the same peaks as Greninja Saga, I think, so that's actually pretty hype.
Yeah.
And kind of sad for Greninja Saga, but...
No, I mean, like, it's everyone's seeing it. Like, Reddit today blew up. It's Monday, so everyone's probably seen the PvP article on Reddit that, like, there's just too many tournaments, and that's to be expected. But, you know, it's a big win for Japan Smash, and it was pretty awesome. I'm actually genuinely surprised that everybody liked it, because that was my first time commentating ever. Except for one time I commentated because somebody absolutely needed a break at Youmacon 2015, and I jumped on to relieve somebody, and I had this set with Gunblade, and it was a good time. But that's literally the only ever time I've been in a commentary booth ever. So this is my first time doing it, and I don't know. A lot of people seem to really like it.
You did good. You did good, buddy.
I mean, you know what I did is I just channeled like everything that we were talking about.
All my toxicity.
All the bitching that we do.
No, and like I just thought, and I just was like, all right, D1. I've never done this before, but D1 and I go back a very long time, so like we have natural okay chemistry. But I worked with two other commentators as well, so it was pretty interesting learning on the job. But I just went by like a couple very simple rules. And I feel like if people just follow these simple rules, they will have decent commentary. Number 1, no dead air.
Yeah, you always want to be talking. You don't want to just like sit there and be like, okay, and...
Yeah, it was really nice to have D1 because as we were sort of like building our flow, like literally as it happened, you could watch from day 1 all the way into day 2 where like we had built a flow on the fly there that D1 was noticing, and he was picking up when there was space. And, you know, when I had less and less to say. And then over time, I was more comfortable and, like, just... I didn't even know where I was pulling stuff from. It was just, like limitless, like, things that I had locked in my subconscious were just, like, coming out in the stream.
When Fry on Futurama drinks 100 cups of coffee and he becomes ethereal. You guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like the sleeper agent of commentary. Where you just like innately know.
It also extremely super helped that you knew Japan like personally and professionally, and that enabled you to talk about them and not say, oh, and walking up is Komura Kiri, when it was like anybody but, which still happens. I think someone confused again. Someone got confused this week at Greninja Saga walking up. 2 different black people. It was always just.
It was wasn't it Mekos coaching and they thought it was Salem?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. That is it. That was it. Salem.
But that was Twitch stream. That was Twitch.
Again.
That was Twitch. That wasn't a commentator.
It was Twitter too.
Well, yeah.
There was a lot of people.
But the commentator, I think for Phase X0, it was FaZe, but they thought it was somebody else. In any case, you know, it really helped that you knew like the players, at least their styles, their personalities in comparison to their styles in game. And I mean, I don't know that nobody right now knows about Japan is hard.
Yeah, that's actually perfect segue into my point number 2. Is I told D1, I was like, listen, I've never done this before. I don't know how it's gonna go. But you and I talk all the time, so let's just commentate like we're having a conversation with the audience. I really feel like we can teach people. We're here to teach people about Japan, so let's just do that. And we actually had, because Japan has like all these things that are super scheduled, and there was lots of breaks. It's kind of scheduled in, like there's a lunch break at Japanese tournaments and stuff like that. So we actually had times where we had extra downtime where we had a little like whiteboard, and I was going to teach him pronunciation in Japanese and stuff. And we were going to do like mini Japanese lessons.
Right.
Unfortunately, that never really worked out. Unfortunately.
D1 has commented on that before, where he's if he's like comfortable with you like as a friend or a person, that's when he does his best commentary. So he also did really well like alongside you. So it's obviously you guys knew each other.
Yeah, we've got almost 10 plus years, so like that helped for sure. But yeah, so number 1 was no dead air, and 2, is like you need to be having a conversation with the audience, which means like you're not just talking about the match and like seeing it for you, like you're saying it for the benefit of the people around. And like the thing, like you guys said, that I could bring was that I knew all the players, I knew a bunch of tidbits that nobody else knew, and like I could just bring that, and it sort of added that dynamic there. But that also technically leads me into point 3, which is commentators need to know what's going on during the tournament so they can adequately put stress on like what the people are seeing in front of them. And those are the only 3 things that I did. Like I always knew where it was in the bracket. Like this is a top 8 qualifier. You need to be watching this. Or this is a rivalry match. Like this is like really big. Like when you know it's like a Void Larry thing or whatever, like, and you could put the stress on this thing, like he loses this all the time, but he won here or whatever. And I feel like that just goes a long way, a lot more than like dry play-by-play or like analytics.
We call it building storylines. Like it literally has a term.
Right. So those are just the 3 things that I did. No dead air. Converse directly with your audience and like tell them a story basically, and 3, build storylines. Yeah, there you go. Those are the 3 things that I did, and it ended up working. So, and it's the first time I literally ever did it. So
good job.
Anybody can do it.
Do it more. Anyways, we do have a different style episode planned for you this week. It's going to be a little more of a Q&A kind of session. We're going to go through a bunch of our Runback bank, where we've had quite a few questions build up. Some of them dating back to middle of April.
It's like
that's true.
Years ago.
For Smash,
but first, we got to do what? We got to do the.
Oh yeah, you guys are terrible at this, so let me bring it in. Suar, why don't you run us the numbers?
It's time for the numbers.
So, the numbers really quick. We had 2 tournaments featured over 100 people last weekend, the weekend of the May 20th. We had, of course, Greninja Saga, the 2GGC May event happening in Santa Ana, California, with 350 people on the dot, being taken by Ally and his Mario. It was a great showing for Mario. Notably, Zero was not in top 8, eliminated by Fallen and Anti, which was very interesting to see Fallen beat him in winners, but meeting him in losers, Anti was able to take Zero out. But great stuff for Ally, of course. And then in Indianapolis...
I mean, also notably was, real quick, I just wanted to bring up, like, this is the first time we're seeing stress on the players, where Nairo and Void were, like, physically ill, and, like, they did not perform very well. So we're possibly seeing the first impact of, like, this oversaturation issue on top players.
Well, we didn't do a prediction show, but I actually was doing a tech rehearsal for Smash and Splash, and I had a bunch of people at my apartment. We had Greninja Saga on, and they were asking about what my prediction would have been, and I was going to say that Nairo was going to win, like at like noon, and lo and behold, my prediction continued to fail at finding top 8.
I mean, I don't know. I think that the first public noting of like, wow, this stress is really getting to be a lot, because now players are starting to search for answers between themselves. But I think that the stress has always been there, but now it's like you can't ignore it at any level. But we can talk about that more as we continue. The other tournament that reached over 100 was Outfoxed Again. It's called Outfoxed Again. In Indianapolis, Indiana. 114 taken by Ryuga and his Corn. So congratulations to Ryuga. Nice to always see him do well in the Midwest. That's it for the numbers this past weekend. For anybody that had tournaments that happened over the weekend that didn't reach this threshold of 100 people, or we didn't feature you, you can always just DM us. We'll try to sneak you in maybe the next week. So many tournaments as you've seen. So if we missed you, sorry. But why don't you start?
Yell at Suar.
Yeah,
yell at Suar.
Yell at me like always. But ending the numbers, Vayseth, why don't you start us with an extended runback?
Oh yeah, it's time for the runback.
Runback.
Suar literally threw it to you, and then you just decided to throw it to the segment. You just
I've missed it. I'm going to do it between every question. I'm going to do that.
No.
Because I've been going for 2 weeks. Watch me.
Scared.
No. All right. What's the first question you got?
Yeah. This is a question that we've been waiting, or I've personally been waiting on for a little while now, because it's almost like it was tailor-made for me. So I will bring it up. So we had a Twitter DM from Smitty.
It literally was tailor-made for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Like not like it was.
Yeah. Switty Webnum. There's 2 N's there, so number 1 maybe, possibly, but either way, Smitty.
How do you? None of you guys know what this is.
We don't know SpongeBob lore. I'm sorry.
It's a reference to SpongeBob. It's Smitty Werben Jaegerman Jensen. He was number 1.
You're an awful person.
I think I'm too old to have gotten into SpongeBob. I apologize.
I didn't even watch SpongeBob,
barely missed it.
I still know the reference.
Yeah, but I just barely missed it. Anyway,
Go on.
Smitty has a question for the Runback. I have a Magic the Gathering background, and I always love to hear about how Vayseth looks to Magic for ideas. Thank you. In particular, I think it was brilliant to run on-demand side event brackets at Frostbite. Yes, it was. Side events create a great tournament-like atmosphere for those lower and mid-level players, such as myself, to test their skills against other like-minded players looking to improve their game who drowned in pools or lost early day 2. Money matches currently fill this role, but side events provide a nice structure and solves the issue of finding people in the first place. I agree. My first question is, what do you think the future is for side events at Smash tournaments? So I guess I'll just start by saying every tournament should do them. Period. Some form of some side event. Like Royal Flush did some sort of casino themed thing with like the roulette, like Shine did the lanes, and like people have shown that they like that kind of stuff. And it really wasn't that hard to do it at Frostbite. It was literally dollar brackets. We printed off a bunch of 8-person brackets, and when people signed up, we put them into a list. We randomized that list, threw them into a bracket, and said, "Here you go." And that was it. It was very, very, very easy. It was very bare bones to kind of test the idea, but everyone loved it. So like we'll definitely level it up and we'll keep going. But like I'm gonna still keep that MTG flavor of going to like the side event station and like having a bunch of tables and stuff where you can play side events. I like that idea, and I look forward to more unique ways like Royal Flush or Shine to incorporate it. What do you guys think?
And I think that honestly we need to shift the pressure of having the side events be top player heavy for like crew battles and stuff, because that's been overdone. But we have to have side events that increase the casual player base, because currently there aren't too many efforts to do that, and that's what will create the most amount of sustainability for tournaments, which casual players that go 0-2 in the pro bracket get to, at least try their luck or have fun doing other stuff. Pokeball battles, bomb battles, 4-on-4, side events. I mean, it should be implemented at any A/S tier event where there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of days to just grind out.
I also like that there's something about it where it's like it kind of harkens back to really like how we probably all started playing Smash.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, it definitely does.
I played Pokeball battles all the time with my friends in Brawl, because why not?
Yeah, and you really forget about why you play when all you have is like your Smash GG results, which are sad or disappointing. Even top players are disappointed by getting 4th or 5th, and if they potentially have that avenue, or even just like, again, the casual player has the avenue to, after the bracket, go into these side events, they can make new friends, socialize, get dinner, and then that became what you made of the tournament, not just going 0-2.
Yeah, also talk about a stress relief. Like, could you imagine if like Nairo just he had a close game in pools, and his pool's over now, so now he goes and he plays Giant Smash with Pokeballs on Pokemon Stadium 2.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just fun.
I think that was actually Rayquaza at Frostbite. I believe he got knocked out day 2 and was like, "Wait, how many for fun brackets do I have to win a controller?" And he did it.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah,
and he was close. Yeah.
And while maybe like it's not gonna be catered towards the top players because they're so focused and occupied, it's still gives them the opportunity if they want to like have a little bit of like interactions with the fans and like, hey Zero, team with me, and like let's do like 2 persons versus like 6 level 9 clouds, and you get to play with Zero. Like stuff like that can just really be a platform for a lot of positivity and also stress relief, where it's not this really difficult competitive bracket that you don't really go very far in.
Yeah. So there is a second part to this question, which I do want to talk about with actual data from Frostbite. So the second part, as Smitty says, second, do you think the side events could be expanded and adapted to cater Smash's strengths as a game? Magic is a game with a core set of rules that can be played in many different shells, aka formats, some more competitive and casual than others. I believe Smash shares this unique trait. I do too. perhaps instead of only doing on-demand 1v1 2-stock 6-minute brackets, expand to doubles, item matches, 2v2v2, amiibo doubles, 3-stock, round robin, low tier only, Pokemon themed, Ganon Dittos, no special moves, build your own crew battles, custom moves allowed, contests, etc. Would this be possible, and what challenges does this create? They actually almost listed all 10 of the side events that we had at Frostbite, actually. So I'll get to that in a second. I'll finish the question. Many Magic players show up only to these side events. They may not be interested in spending money on the main event, but love the game and atmosphere and simply want to play with other people who share their hobbies. Smash could benefit in the same way. Keep up the great work with the podcast. Thank you very much, Smitty. And to answer your second part of the question, yeah, we did almost all that at Frostbite. But believe it or not, the biggest thing that was the most popular thing, by far not close, was 1v1 singles. Like, I think we fired almost twice as many of those to the next highest one, which was low tier singles, and then the low tier singles beat out the next one by about twice as many. And like the for fun casual ones that you think people would actually cater to, we only had a couple.
Yeah, I think that like those things are not stigmatized, but I think people just want the taste still of like a bracket, and so they want to keep like honing their strengths. But I think it's interesting that they mention the other formats in Magic where those get really competitive too. I mean, you can have triples be something that all of a sudden gains a lot of traction, and maybe it won't have like the top 8 stage at Evo, but you know, you might get like some really good trips going around certain people in the community, and they get to like always do the side event for that, and you know, gain some nice, you know, fun out of that because it's not allowed anywhere else.
I do think that there is an avenue that is explorable for competitive side events. That was actually a really popular thing in Chicago for a long time, was 3v3 VIP mode, where one player was listed as the VIP and stock sharing was like banned. Like if you accidentally took a stock, you just had to SD right away. And if the VIP lost all their stocks, then the game is over. So like it's super fun. And I really like the game format. And we used to get 20 or 30 teams for our monthlies.
That's like 90 people.
Yeah, we did that at Rebirth 5 in Michigan as well.
Yeah, we would have like 120 people for the bracket for singles, and we'd get like 30 teams for this. It eventually started to go down where not as many people are entering it and things, but I still think like stuff like that where it has this side event feel where like, okay, we're like putting on this like artificial rule that isn't really a thing, but it still can be competitive and you can still form strategies around it. I think that's really where the best side events can be explored. Kind of like how Magic has Commander, right? EDH.
Yeah.
Where you have like your 100 card deck and you can only have one of every copy.
Yeah, and they just made up the rules. It was literally a bunch of Magic judges who made up that rule. So like, it's kind of like the same thing if like a bunch of Magic or not Magic Smash leadership people just like to play Smash for fun, made up this own way to like kill time between tournaments or whatever. It'd be something very similar. But I do want to clarify really quick for anybody who wants to do specifically on-demand side events. If you have teams versus singles, they will be naturally much harder to get the minimum allotted teams to fire the event because you need double, or if in the case of 3v3, triple the amount. Doubles was actually our least, and doubles and free-for-all was our least popular one just because of that fact. It was a lot harder to get like that many people to actually fire the tournament.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think for stuff like that, you'd have to have it like really scheduled and ahead of time. Like, no, like, hey, we're going to have these on-demand side events, but also at 9 o'clock a.m., like noon, and 5 p.m., we're going to run trips. And so, like, you can sign up for these ahead of time, and that will give players the ability to, like, form teams versus just yelling into a room, hey, who wants to do trips?
Yeah, no, I really like that idea where, like, you have some events that are scheduled and, like, are part of the schedule, and then others that are just on-demand brackets firing literally the whole day.
All right. Well, I think that covers it for Smitty. I think we can move on to the next question. But, of course, if you're interested in exploring these side event theories, you should definitely contact Vayseth because he's now run that in practice at a tournament. So, you guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
The next question we have is by Twitter tag Zora Majora, which is an awesome handle. And it reads like this. It says, Vayseth, Suar, and Sage. Wow, addressing all of us. You guys have all taken the initiative to professionalize and improve the Smash scene. Vayseth has united North America and Japan. Suar has built the definitive ranking system for the game, providing a meaningful guide to investors. And Sage has advanced the broadcast technology, and stream quality to a level that investors and advertisers are confident in. How did you guys find these niches? Where do you guys foresee being the areas where someone new needs to step up and take the initiative? That's a juicy one.
That's a tough one.
Well, here, I can start, at least in how we became what we are. I can't speak for the other two, but for myself. A lot of work, a lot of thankless work, a lot of sleepless nights of just working. PG Stats was started between 3 people with like 40 tabs on an Excel sheet and grew to now like 9, 12 people, and the project's in full effect with all the editors, and we're actually going to have like composers for the videos this time that are going to make cover tracks for music. I mean, it's a whole party, but I mean, it's just a lot of work, a lot of questions, a lot of trial and error. I mean, we're now in the 3rd PGR, and it's like talked about as just canon for like everything that goes on for Smash. I mean, I don't know if you guys read the article with Captain Zach that they featured on ESPN the other day, but they were just talking about it.
Wait. Hold on. But how did you find that this was your niche?
Well, I don't know. It honestly started in a DM conversation with Bear, which he loves to bring up. And I just wanted to do something that wasn't there yet. Like, no one was doing it, and the only parallel we had was Tafo. And I just asked if we can like do something like this. Like, I had no idea what it needed. I had no idea about any of the things that it would do in the end. But they took me up on it just by asking, and then here we are after a lot.
And I think that can actually summarize all 3 of our stories, right, Sage?
Yeah.
Mine's basically different. Like somebody wasn't doing it, and so you felt like you needed to step up and do it, right?
Sort of. I actually wanted to be a commentator when I started.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So I just like the streams in Chicago. If you go back and like watch old Chicago streams, they're like embarrassingly bad, right? And so I came into the scene in like February after the game released, because I was dealing with like a really intense final for culinary school. So I was going through that, and then I finally had time, and I was like, all right, I'm start competing. And I showed up, and I just like they needed someone to commentate, and it was this crappy like $20 desktop USB mic that we used. And there was one time where I used like the Galaxy S5 comes with comes with these headphones that like you can plug in and to your phone, and they act as your earbuds and your microphone on that little clip. I used that once.
Pushing the stream standard.
Right? So that was like when I first joined, and I was like, all right, this is really bad. I want to like help and make this better so that I have a place to commentate. So initially it was actually done out of, I don't want to say selfish reasons, but like slightly selfish reasons, where like we needed a stream to be able to commentate. So myself and Lord Sturm used to do all the top 8s in Chicago. And eventually
I remember you guys were like a pair.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of tournaments together. And eventually I was just like, I was super enjoying working on new stream stuff, that I just kept pushing that avenue more and more, and kept moving away from commentary in order to like control the stream and everything. And eventually I was like, well, this is way more fun. Fuck commentary.
How did you find yourself in Japan, Vayseth?
Basically what you said. Like, well, actually, I think if you listen to the first episode, I definitely introduced this story in the very first episode, I believe. But basically, I always tell it like this. Big House 5, I got that job because I walked up to Juggle Guy at a random tournament, a charity tournament called Gamers for Giving in Michigan. And I walked up to him, and he had never met me before. Or actually, I believe they had, because I had been a TO before, but that doesn't matter. But we had never had a professional meet before. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, you don't know me, but I do Smash 4 really well, and I'm the shit, so you should hire me for Big House. And like that was basically the only interaction we had that whole time. And eventually he picked me up with Ori, and we did the Big House 5. Now, we had very little control over Big House 5. It was kind of, help with the seating, help with the running of the event, but we were very much like bracket guys for that event. But the main difference was we had the compendium, which really took off at Big House 5, and Abadango was on it. And I remember going to Apex 2015 and seeing these 8 Japanese players and, meeting Abadango there and like having him, he came over, he did a homestay, and like just like at Apex 2015, everybody lost their minds. They're like, oh my god, this Japanese player's here, oh my god. Rudolph was there for Melee as well. So like there was a lot of people just like super hyped for Japanese players, and I was just like, I lived in Japan. I've played with these players before. It seems like it would be pretty awesome if somebody could do that. And then I waited.
Yeah, I guess that's the part I forgot too. Like, it'd be really cool if we had like a top 50, top 100. That's right. What I thought too.
And then I waited. And like, I was like, nobody's taking advantage of this. Genesis 3 comes in. And like, all these Japanese players are coming. It was announced, and like, Japan's bringing everybody. We're going to have like all these killers. We've never had an American soil before in Smash 4. Ranai, their best player, is taking all these tournaments with Villager. Oh my god. And like everybody, like the hype leading into Genesis was like palpable. Like we have not experienced anything like that since, except for maybe Civil War. And like I just waited and waited, and I was just like, nobody's going to take advantage of this. And I realized there was actually literally no one, because the only reason I got involved with Genesis is because no one spoke Japanese, and I needed to help them like get like to the tournament brackets and stuff like that, because I was just a pool captain at Genesis 3, and suddenly I was upgraded to like second in command under Bear, where Bear was running the main stage, and I pulled Ori, and he was like, I'm on vacation. I was like, Ori, this is our chance. And I pulled him to the side stage, and we started like running top 32 with Bear. We were like the only people in command. And it was also because of like Japan, and I was like, screw it. I'm the only one who could do this. I've seen it at Big House. I've seen it at Apex. I've seen it at Genesis. That's enough. And I literally sold everything I owned, got enough money for a plane ticket, called up my best friend because I lived in Japan before, and I moved to Osaka, like less than 30 minutes a train ride away from QB's, and went to literally every single Smash 4 tournament that I could in 6 months in Japan, and just got to know the community on like a fundamental deep level. And then I came back, did Big House, and did everything else, and started just being like this liaison because I just knew everything.
Yeah, so a lot of luck, a lot of timing, and also a little bit of intuition can lead you into these
just
situations.
Risk.
Yeah, a lot of dumb
it's like a huge risk.
But the other part of the question that I found interesting, that I think Sage said it's pretty hard, is what areas do you guys foresee being the areas where someone new needs to step up and take the initiative? Well,
we need a commentary coordinator.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I was gonna say no more new TOs. We don't need any more TOs. We don't need any more streamers. We don't need any more.
That's not necessarily true. I feel like we don't need any new, like brand new streams, but like the streams that we do have need a lot of help.
Well, that's what I said. We don't need any new. We don't need another Unrivaled. That wouldn't help anything. We just need more talent.
But we do need people to help them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, needing help is different from a new entire, like,
Yeah, I think this is more like a new, like, realm, like a new thing to hit.
Yeah. And I wonder. So I think a commentary coordinator is a very good idea.
Because Melee has, like, Fendi, and he does everything for them. So, like, whenever Melee people need commentary, like, they have this one commentator that, like, guru that, like, knows everybody and, like, can like negotiate prices and like, hey, can you go to this event and stuff like that. And like that's something Smash 4 doesn't have.
That's true.
There's individuals like assigned to it per event, but there's not like an all-seeing top guy that does most of it.
Yeah, like D1 is like the most like over, like he doesn't manage anything, but he's like everyone knows him and kind of like he runs some events in terms of like, some top 8ing, but like he's nowhere near Fendi. And I don't know anybody that would be able to do like a commentary coordinator thing, because they'd have to be like, it's hard for them to be new because like they'd have to know everybody too.
Right, they'd have to be established and like respected enough to be able to like negotiate.
Yeah.
Too.
So like, and even then, the people that are, in my opinion, don't even want something like that, like EE or TK or, like they wouldn't. Like maybe Coney, like Coney could be an analog to Fendi, but I don't know that he wants that either. I mean, he's like an adult that's busy with a lot of stuff.
He's like building a life. I don't know that he wants to add this whole responsibility to himself. I think he just wants to come out and commentate for events.
Yeah.
I mean, like we could talk about potential people, and maybe you're listening and you're like, hey, that could be me. But that's definitely something that I've noticed. We could just look at Melee or the FGC and just see things that we don't have. Kind of like what you said earlier with Tafo. Like we didn't have a Tafo, so you thought you would try to fill those shoes. And like they have a Fendi. Like we don't have a Fendi, so like that was my first mind.
That's true.
Obviously, we need like some sort of head of the whole thing, but like we talked about before,
yeah.
it's
like
not
a like a leadership.
It's not a realistic. Yeah, it's not like a realistic new position, right? Like,
right.
You can't
and that's
just like
a
jump
group,
into that.
not a person. Yeah.
Right. But we also could use, I feel like, someone to be the like spokesperson between streams and tournaments and potential sponsors and like investors and things like that. So we're not just investing in one tournament. It's not just you see this place investing in this individual stream once and they just be like, here's $500 for an ad slide or whatever you want to call it, or however much they're paying for whatever. Instead,
it's possible there's some smasher out there that has a lot of business connections and can like work with TOs to try to use that, and that could be a brand new position that comes out of nowhere.
We need just business people in general. I mean, most Smash TOs and stuff, like, they don't have the guy helping them with like explaining taxes and how to manage finances and things, and instead a lot of people are just guessing. And I feel like it would be really helpful if somebody out there was just like the person who
we need business managers.
Yeah, the person you went to, and they're just like, I have these potential investors. They're looking across these 5 tournaments, so they will give each they will like spread out this much money, and across 5 tournaments, their advertisement will be there. Versus like, if I was an investor and I wanted to invest in the year of Smash advertising, I'd have to go to like 40 people right now to show up at every tournament, versus going to one guy and having him get me across every tournament.
Or her.
Yeah. The only other position that I could think of, something that brings up like old school set count talk that we talked about, was we were talking about TOs and how there's like a level you could build up. You could start as like the lowly pool captain at a major and like slowly build your local scene, and then eventually like build up into this like regional superpower or whatever. And like if you're a player, you start like drowning in pools and you make it to day 2 and then you make it a top 8 and then you win. But there wasn't that for commentary. So like I would say that I think there's a wide open market for content creators, like the lower level journalists. Like when you said like your friend was in the locker room or whatever, Ray Sage.
Oh yeah, that's a story from, what is it, like the 2nd or 3rd episode, I think.
Right. So that, like, we probably have a lot of new listeners, so you should probably check that out. But Sage told us that like there is no, people are basically, they go from not commentating to commentating, kind of like I did.
Right. There's no entry level job. So
right.
Look into, like, for a tournament, be that guy that offers to take control of your tournament's Twitter. Like, just go to a major and see if you can get access to their Twitter and just be like, look, I will just literally walk around and record like videos of people beating other people, or like tweet about upsets, and that's it. Like that's
just make up your own content.
Yeah,
like, I'm the guy who goes to majors and interviews players like before and after sets. Like, we just need more content in general. I feel like we have way too many tournaments and not enough content. So like content creators are a huge thing that we don't have.
Yeah.
And understand that like whoever steps up for these roles won't get like any compensation for like the foreseeable future, and that's just how it is. But again, like
I still ain't getting paid.
You build up to those moments by doing this sort of like not dirty work, but like earning your stripes first. So like don't be afraid if like, oh, like, if it takes too much of a toll on you or something, like obviously you're not going to be able to fly to the next 35 tournaments happening this summer. But like start small, and like maybe you're doing your monthly and like you're posting content to like online. That's still important. So
right. And even if you do want to do something across like every major, there's no reason that you can't build a network. And like maybe you and a guy that you know in California and a guy that you know in Florida, the 3 of you like combine and create this news network where one guy can go to Genesis because he's there, one guy can go to CEO because he's nearby, and you can go to Big House.
Yeah, and that's actually something that brings up a sad thought, is that we needed like a Smash like news network type thing, and like the Beefy Smash Dudes did it for like 10 episodes on YouTube, and they actually just discontinued it. And they did it so well, and we even had C5 on the show for one of our monthly guests, and like I don't know what happened. Like I guess the news show just didn't pick up, They mentioned that they didn't get too many views and stuff, and it's just like sad.
It's so hard to keep up with weekly content. Even this show is sometimes hard to keep up on.
Yeah.
It's a couple hours of editing, planning, writing.
But
so
I mean, like either way, like we knew that there was a content drought, so we made this show. But
oh yeah, that's the other thing, podcasting too. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, I think that covers that one. If you want to take your Sage, because we have a little bit of time left.
Yeah, we
sure.
can run it back.
I think this one it might go over, and I think I'm okay with that.
Okay.
All right.
So
Sage.
Next question comes from Kaladin_SSB on Twitter. He writes, "Hey guys, love the show," or she, I don't actually know. "Hey guys, love the show. In order to mitigate the oversaturation issue, what individuals/orgs would actually need to coordinate, and how likely is it to happen? Further, would solving the problem necessitate a reduction in frequency of 2GGCs? They do amazing work, but right now it feels like we have to choose between oversaturation and them having a virtual monopoly on Smash 4 events."
Who would you say on the streaming side would need to get together, Sage?
Streaming side is a little different, just because
I was gonna say, like, yeah, don't TOs hire them, so it has to be the TOs?
It obviously has to be the TOs first, but I do think that streamers can be involved in that conversation. Just because like it is very much a streamer's livelihood to get hired. So
True.
Obviously VGBC needs to be present in that conversation, not just because they're a streamer, but they also have TO work. Like they very much help with Super Smash Con. And then us and 2GG and the streamer there, so JMX would be involved. And beyond that, maybe MVG?
Yeah, they're getting better. I mean, like, Umebura was actually, I thought it was okay. Like, I thought the stream quality was pretty good. Especially, it's definitely night and day from what Japan's used to having. And, like, they've hired a couple people to, like, go through all of their Twitch chat and make YouTube. So, stay tuned for MVG. Like, I think they're, like, I know I'm on their team, but, like, low key, they're like one of the best content creators in Smash right now. Like they get so many views on all of their things, and they're on Reddit more than 2GG.
They're one of the only content creators in Smash right now.
Yeah, like, and they do a really good job. So I'm really glad to see their growth and like the more support in the content. And, you know, shout out to MVG. But
what about the TO side then?
TO side, you for sure need 2GG, right? You need.
Well, we need names. Let's say specifically names.
Okay, so let's call it Champ. So you need Champ. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally slipped my mind, but Smash Studios would be a good one for the streamers as well. But you need Champ for TOs. You need, let's see, Tantalus. You need Bear. You need probably Jabali just to include him in there.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Who?
Because like we're talking. He said Jabali, but like all I'm thinking is, like, do we really, like, when we make this coalition or whatever, do we focus it on Smash 4, or
I don't think
Jabali branch out to Melee and FGC? Like, I don't think there's a reason to do that.
Yeah, me neither. I think we would unite within Smash 4 to present neat things to Jay Bailey, all packaged and nice. Like Jay Bailey's already in too many other things.
Fair.
So I feel like Melee has their own issues as well.
So you pull all the big like guys who are running Smash 4 specific stuff, right? Or at least the Smash 4 heads. So you pull Bear, you pull Champ, you pull D1, in my opinion. I mean, he's, as much as he is...
D1's like the closest thing to the Smash 4 liaison in Twitch.
Yeah, just like, even though, yeah, he is more of a commentator and he's involved in Twitch, like, he still has a lot of presence just in terms of events as well, so he would definitely be a big one to bring in. You bring in Vayseth, you bring in... Pretty much, if you run a tournament regularly that gets like 300 people or more.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you look through the history of Smash 4 and you look at like who's run A or S tier events during that time, those are the people you talk to. Because like at the end of the day, this quote unquote coalition or governing body or whatever, it's for the national/worldwide scale. So like you look to the people who have been working at that level and you start with them.
Yeah. And I think that for like the oversaturation and stuff, it's more of a situation where the frequency of the tournaments is compromised by the fact that everyone's trying to like do the next best thing, but like there's just not enough to go around to do that.
So are we talking about how likely it is to happen right now? Because basically the biggest issue and I literally just told this in an interview a second ago, is like the moment you do this and you start limiting events and you say when an off season is or whatnot, you're essentially screwing somebody. Like somebody is getting screwed.
There's no good range. There's no good range for an off season right now because literally there's 20 events this summer and there's probably going to be 20 following that in the fall.
And not only that, but like I think there's a legacy tournament every single month of the year.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so whose legacy tournament do you tell no, your tournament is not?
Yeah,
Although,
I mean, go on.
To be fair, you have this legacy tournament that people will still probably go to, right? Even though it's not ranking. That legacy tournament has the potential to draw crazy viewership because something dumb happens. Because Zero decides to go all Lucina and Ally goes all Donkey Kong and they meet in Grand Finals as Lucina Donkey Kong. And it's like people are going to watch that even though it's not for ranking.
True.
So you do open up a different value for the tournament than just rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to Nyani as well, and I said like that would be like the time to like do all these experimental things that we haven't had time for because it inflicts on rankings, which is like fully unlocking Mii's, for example. I'll do like a huge like fully unlocking Mii, and you do that during the off season or like when off rankings or whatever, or things like Smash the Record, like we have talked about like forever. So like, is it possible? Sure. Is it likely to happen? It's like all decisions, you're never going to make everybody happy. So it just gets to the point where like we can't avoid it and we have to do it, and somebody's going to get screwed.
Yeah, but I think it's better that you screw, like, no offense, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it's better that you screw an organizer or someone that's trying to do the job versus screwing the entirety of your player base and killing your game.
Yeah, and what's kind of funny is that, like, if PG Sets wanted to, like, we could determine the off season for next year by just saying that we're just counting events from January to October for 2018, and then that automatically makes November and December the off season for Smash 4, just de facto, because right now as it stands, without intending to, PG Stats with the PGR became the sort of beat for all the tournaments to count and be regarded for C, B, A, and S tier ratings, and how all the top players are trying to stay relevant. But if we just say, oh, we're only counting January to October, and nothing's happening in November or December that's ranking, then none of the players are going to fly out to go there, and none of the tournaments can sustain themselves to make an event happen because no top player would go unless there was a different incentive that doesn't have to do with rankings. So that's also something to consider, but again, like, we can't just do that overnight. I can't just decide that with the team because there's different conversations we don't have. I mean, like, November, December is probably the best, or at least just December, since it's like a pretty heavy family month, but still, like, we don't know if there's something planned for next December already.
There is the 2GG Championship.
Well, no, not this one. Next year. Like,
yeah. Really quick, we should probably say that. Like, this year is completely planned out.
We can't say we're not counting December for this year because the championships is happening. So it's like, you know, like, this year's already compromised, so it'd have to be next year. You know?
Yeah, people already have events that they haven't even announced yet for that range, so you can't just be
exactly.
like, sorry, get fucked. When do you guys think an off season would happen? Like, when's your ideal?
December's the best month in my opinion, and if anything, 3 to 4 weeks. 4 might be too long, but I think a month is pretty appropriate just because every other month is so packed.
I'd like go ahead.
All right, I'll just be frank with everybody. I'm drafting a proposal for this right now, and I don't want it to like get out there, but to be as vague as possible while still contributing, I think there should be 2 off seasons.
I was actually going to go something similar. I think that off seasons should be relatively brief, like a 2 or 3 week chunk, and I think they should be split across the year. And I would love to see September work as an off season because everyone's going back to school, right? Like, that's a hard month to run an event in. End of August, early September. So I think that's a good section that you can put an off season. I think Christmas is a good section that you can put an off season. And if you even wanted to go for 3, you could do it at like Easter kind of range because you're also looking at finals around then, or like, let's say May, like right before the summer Smash starts.
That's a good point.
I think that the best way to go about this is just to plan it across what is the most common thing preventing people from going to tournaments.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that, like, it would be, I guess, overkill to have 2 months, but spread 2 months worth of off seasoning would be nice. But I guess it'd also be like interesting. Like I think most max would be 2. Making like trimesters, I guess, would be very awkward for like having to do those rankings over and over because it's like pretty exhaustive. So I'd like to have to only do that 2 times a year, but
yeah, that's why I said 2 specifically.
So if you do 2, then I mean the rankings can be. It doesn't necessarily have to be split across like 2017 to 2017 is the ranking. Kind of like how the NFL goes from like 2016 into 2017. You can have a mid-season, even if you did multiple, there can be a mid-season off-season where like maybe it's just for this week or 2, there's just nothing, and then the season resumes or something.
yeah, well, I think we wouldn't be as not sporadic, but like as in the middle like that. I think it'd have to be at the end of important things, like end of finals, end of the year, because Christmas is awful. Like we had to delay the PGR last time because it was during Christmas and everybody was off and stuff, and people were giving a shit for that. And it was like, you guys are getting this for free, and it's like not an off season for us. Like it's not anything that needs to be, done, but it has to be. And so, like, Christmas is a very important time, or Hanukkah, or whatever, just winter in general.
Yeah, I think that's a good range, and I feel like there's somewhere I feel like school should be planned around, because a lot of our audience is, 18 to 24, right in that college range, where moving back to college or finals or whatever it is, starting college, like that's a tough time to really pull yourself away for a weekend to go to a tournament. So yeah. I think that's something that we can definitely consider when we're planning for an off season.
Awesome.
I think all of us in the leadership have like a really good idea, but they just don't know the way to do it. So I'm literally working on this right now. So I have a lot of ideas, and I don't want to say, but to answer the second question, would it necessitate the reduction of the frequency of 2GGCs? No, because 2017 is locked, and like those are going to happen. But next year, yes.
I also don't think they're going to run the same way next year. Like, you can't look at Greninja Saga, look at 12,000 views and go, yeah, that was great. Like, Smash and Splash 1, or it's not Smash Splash 1, Smash Splash 2 had more views than that. We counted like 13.5, and that was a much smaller event.
It'd probably make more sense for like a 2GC to run quarterly. Like, it'd make much, much more sense. Every 3 months.
I think it would be great if 2GGC ran quarterly, and those could be worth double points or whatever, and they also built qualifiers along other cities.
Yeah. I mean, like, all I can say is ESA and 2GG is the best at running events in our game right now, and if you don't think that they already know all of this, and, like, that they're planning for 2018 accordingly, ye have little faith. Like, they're definitely already planning it out. Like, the thing is, like, when players are now, like, talking publicly about how tired they were, TOs, like, you could see it in TO's eyes in, like, March. Like TOs all over the country have felt this issue way faster than everybody else.
That's their money source, literally, is these top players are saying, we're tired, we don't want to go to stuff. Every TO, if you hadn't already felt that was coming, is just like, oh shit, what do we do? Like, when do we run events?
Well, yeah, but, like, Bear has gone to more regions than anybody else, and he was just like, dude, every local region I go to, like, all their top TOs are just done. And, like, that was when we were talking at Frame Perfect Series 2. Like, Bear didn't come to Frostbite because he was exhausted. Like, and I was like, no, dude, it's cool. You don't have to come to Frostbite. But, like, that was a hell of a tournament for him to miss, so.
Basically, we'll see. So, next question, Vayseth.
Oh, yeah, it's back to me. Time to run it back. So next one, this is a pretty good one. Another Twitter DM from, is it Ang Time or Angel Time or Angie Time? I'm gonna assume it is Japanese pronunciation and say it's Ange. So Ange Time is writes that it's at super Ange 12. It looks like.
Angie.
A 128.
Maybe it's Angie.
Could be.
I don't know. It's ANGE. Like,
either way, they write. How often do you guys get criticism for the jobs you do these days? Do you think it's justified? I'm sorry. This is just funny to me. Are some out of ignorance and misunderstanding? Anything else to keep in mind when you get these?
Yeah, it's me. It's just me. It's all me.
Sonic Death. Sonic Death.
But
no. Yeah,
I think we
go
each
ahead.
get it differently because I don't think anyone has ever not given Sage shit for his layouts. Even though his layouts get like probably 12 times more praise than they do shit, but we all get like, flack for anything all the time. Every time.
There's going to be a heck of a lot of shines during this episode. We've been swearing up a storm. At least you two have.
I haven't been putting in the shines. I kind of just have been letting them roll, and I don't know. We'll see.
I mean,
shine it up.
Life's short, anyways. But I guess as like one of the more publicly engaged people, because Sage is very localized to like events and stuff, and like his work is like seen as like the stream as opposed to like him personally. Like he personally leads the team, but people have no idea the stuff Sage does at an event. And like he's directing, he's writing, he's scripting, he's doing all this graphic work, he's doing all this like miking and sounding. So like people don't even understand like how events truly benefit from Sage to even criticize.
You get the for streamers we get our flack from Twitch chat.
Yeah. Right. And I was gonna bring up that you brought that up on the set count earlier, where like there's only people who watch your channel, and if anything screws up, even if it's the TO's fault or whatever, it's Twitch chat, it's your fault.
It's Unrivaled or whoever's playing at the time. But
yeah,
for like PGR stuff, I mean, I get like criticism not often. It's more so like questions, like these very like probing questions, which makes sense because like so much of our stuff is like on Twitter and like on Google Docs and stuff, which we're about to like ready any second to put on a website, which it's almost done. But people just have probing questions like all the time, and they'll say a lot of times like the PGR is stupid or like the PGR is dumb or like screw the PGR. But
I mean, look into Cat. He went on record stating that he hated the PGR.
Yeah, I mean, he said the methods are trash. It was cool. It was nice. It still became like the normalized standard for Smash, so it doesn't affect me. But at the same time, like when you do public work, you're gonna get criticized no matter what, even if like you think you're not. Like even Bear gets criticized and you don't think he does public work, but he does TOing, and like if a bracket's held up, they're gonna be like, oh, Bear's like such a bad pool runner, like pool manager, captain, super bracket manager, whatever. I mean, as soon as you do work for the community, people are gonna criticize you, no matter what.
Yeah, you're under a microscope, and like to answer the specific questions, do you think it's justified? Some of the times it is. Like sometimes you just screw up, and you just have to own that.
0.9.
And like, if you don't, then you look like a huge jerk, and just make the situation worse. Like 0.9, and then like, or see, here's the thing: do you think the feedback was justified? When people were talking about Sonic Death and like the big gaffes in the PGR, and like PGR was like, yeah, we messed up, my bad, like, yeah, that was justified, but like there's two distinct different ways of handling it, and like people got over it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing about justified is like people like very rarely, in some moments it's very gracefully expressed, like, hey guys, you missed this tournament, or like you misspelled this, like just letting you know, like putting us, not on blast. But when people just do it to do it, it's like, that's just not cool. And it really just makes it less and less likely that people want to do stuff like that for the community when they get like eaten alive. I've seen it mostly for articles. I've seen ESPN write articles and people like rag on them because they got something wrong. And then it's just like, damn, like why would they want to write for Smash again if that's how they respond? Like it happens to anybody. And like,
I don't know, I kind of thrive on it, man. Like,
I think
whatever.
I've always had this like weird philosophy where like all criticism is justified in its own way. It may not be stated gracefully, but it's still can be justified.
It's interest. I mean, that's what I learned from Trent. Like interest. It might be not voiced well, but like if you find out that your layout was like crappy for Frostbite, like, and they say like, screw this layout, that's like interest that you now have that you like can categorize.
Yeah, at least that person is watching, right?
Yeah, that's what it means. Mm-hmm. Like they're engaged with it, So
I forget who said it, but my favorite way of saying it is just like all criticism is good, but not not all criticism is healthy, I think was like the best way to put it. It's like
Yeah.
they don't really express themselves in a healthy manner or something like
And
that.
almost
But,
all the people that like take shots from the dark like can't even fathom trying any of these things by themselves, let alone on a team. So it's like at the same time you take it with a grain of salt. You know, like when someone insults Sage, it's like you can't even code in HTML. I don't need to care about you. And someone insults like the PGR, it's like I don't know who you are and you can't take my money or hurt me, so I don't care. You know, like it's stuff like that.
Not
you know?
yet.
I try to take every single bit of criticism that I've ever seen. Like, I try to look at it and see why it's being criticized and think about it. And that might not be healthy because then you let every bit of criticism get to you. But
yeah, but you're kind of like a perfectionist though, so like that like if you
and
don't
yours
answer
is easier
it,
to
like,
fix a lot of times.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Yeah.
It is something like for me as a broadcaster, it's like if somebody's criticizing something, that means that there's something that they don't like that they're watching, and
Yeah.
I need to know why they don't like it, so I can fix that specific issue without affecting what other people are seeing. And
like you can create the feedback almost instantaneously as like an artist in a way, but we have to like make a new like wait for the next PGR to like be able to like satisfy that criticism. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, I just have to
like,
wait till the next event.
Yeah, like you have to wait to the next thing over and over. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's justified because people are just passionate. I mean, they're passionate. Like when they say like screw the PGR, anti's not top 10, like they care about it that much, you know? Like if they didn't care about it, they wouldn't acknowledge it. Like it'd be like Reddit rankings or Smashboard rankings. Like no one ever talks about that. And those rankings are screwed the hell up. Like I think like ESAM is like top 5 because like he had so many tournaments that he was won in Florida and they're reported on Smashboards. Like no one ever talks about Smashboards. No one ever talks about Reddit rankings or like, you know, the tier list that Reddit makes by voting. Like
can we remove Smashboard rankings from Smash GG at this point?
I think people have talked about it for a while, but it's kind of hard. Like
it's helpful.
A lot of people don't want to. They don't want to let it go.
How is
it
helpful?
Where all of us came from. It's
oh geez. Well, I just mean it's helpful. It just marks somebody that's somewhat active. I mean, it doesn't change.
As somebody who used to write for that site, like it actually gets a lot more hits than I think a lot of people think.
No, but that's fair. But their
he's talking about
system...
Smash GG, like, and Smash GG, you got your PGR, your local PR, and it also shows Smashboards. But I don't think it's harmful. Like
as long as I don't know. I feel like it's
actually
weird.
No. Sage is right. It causes a lot of problems that a lot of people don't see. Like for example, D-Disciple was like $110 at I think Civil War or something like that.
I guess it does affect the
like,
algorithm for fantasy bracket.
Right. So like there are little things that it does bother. So there's definitely things
that's just silliness though.
There's no reason to keep it there. Like it serves no purpose.
All right.
Well, really quick, I want to talk about something that's completely unjustified, and people, listen. You're not going to get me to convince like your side or anything like that.
Oh, me's like me's?
Yeah, yes.
Like MII.
If me's are never happening. Me's are never happening.
If every single big house and Genesis, you messaged me and threatened me and like how dare I and I'm a terrible person, like I have never seen more people pissed at me as a person attacking me, like
oh my
because
god,
I don't let them have bees.
That's
and, like,
the thing
too.
Is, like
I really want to like create this environment. Like I said earlier, like I think an off season would be a great way to finally collect data on me's, and like I'm looking for ways to like help these people, even though they've done nothing but take a huge fat dump on me, like every single time I'm part of a huge tournament. And it's just like, guys, you're not helping it. Like nobody, like every time a top player mentions me's, like I think Mewtwo King like went up there and he said like, you know, I was playing with me's or something like that, and he's like, I really think that they should bring their moveset back. And like some top player was like, yeah, whatever, Mewtwo King, go drop out of more tournaments. And then like the me army showed up and they were like,
it's just like Chibo marching in, man.
Dude, awful. I swear to God, like, trust me, people, I don't hate you, and dude, I don't know why you hate me, but it's just
I don't
like,
care
there
about
has
you.
to be a time and a place. There has to be a time and a place.
I am 100% for me legalization. I was a me gunner main for a long time.
Cancer.
Right? Let it go. I don't give a shit. They got banned. I didn't bat an eye. I was just like, fuck it, they're gone.
The most competitive tournament series that allows fully unlocked Miis is Smabato, like QB's tournaments in Osaka. They allow Miis, and there was actually a point where Komori Kiri was winning so many tournaments with fully unlocked Mii fighter that they had to not Mii fighter, Mii brawler, where they had to actually nerf him. And the way that they nerfed him in the rules was everybody else can pick whatever moveset they want, but Mii brawler specifically can only change one of the 4 moves.
Wow.
I don't even care how it's handled. Like, whatever. If they're 1-1 forever.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's been a long running tournament series that has had them unlocked, a very well known, well respected tournament series, and nobody's really said anything, and it really doesn't matter. But there are a lot of pocket brawlers, even with him in that nerf state, that show up at Smabato and cause things to happen. I've been there. I've seen it live. So
are they allowed weight changes as well? Because that's the important part,
maybe.
Right? Tiny brawler gets tons of combos that normal brawler does not get, regardless of moveset.
It's specifically tiny fat brawler.
It can be
what
tiny.
Homo told me.
Yeah,
because
tiny fat brawler is the best one, but tiny thin brawler also works.
Right. There's all I remember having this conversation with Zero was training for Evo last year, and Como brought up Mii brawler and showed him how he used to win tournaments, and I was like, this is something I want to see. I want to see Como's brawler or whatever. And he was just showing Zero stupid stuff, and Zero was broken. That's I love that a lot of players, both languages, they both understand the word broken, and there's entire top players from both sides that will just have entire conversations with pointing at the screen saying broken. And, that's what it is. They don't speak each other's language, but they'll be broken, Meta Knight, broken.
So I don't know. It's whatever. Who cares? That is the least of my concerns when 3 videos have been tweeted out within a day and a half showing someone get up attack and fall through Lilat and die for it.
Let's not do that right now.
I'm just saying.
Anyways.
But, yeah. The thing is, at the end of the day, which ones are not justifiable? And it's anything that involves violence and whatnot. And as far as to keep in mind when you get there, QB is probably the best person in all of Smash. He's Japan's best commentator, not close. He's one of their best players, and he's one of their best TOs. So he's the godfather, amazingness of Smash, and he's older than I am, which is impressive. He's the oldest current active Smasher that I know of. And I talked to him about these problems, and I was he's been a huge TO mentor for me. And he said, at the end, you can reason it out like this, but at the end of the day, you just tell him, you want to know what? If you want to run your own tournament, go run your own goddamn tournament. Because he's I run Smabato the way I do. Umebura runs it exactly like the West because they have different goals. I have different goals at Smabato. I'm not changing my rules. If you want a different tournament, go run your own damn tournament.
Yeah. But that pretty much wraps up that question, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we got time for just one more, or...
Yeah, one more is good.
Okay. So...
let's do one. It's almost 10 p.m. where I'm at, and I gotta get going.
That's fine. We got the Smash 4 Switch talk, since, Smash 4 Switch is looming, or is it? From Sven Stormbeard. This name, sorry.
Heck yeah.
Sven Stormbeard says, with all this talk about Smash 4.5 for the Switch, meaning a Smash port, and the possibility of new stages and characters, do you have any worry about tournaments not having enough Switch setups to properly run big events? I know it would hurt local scenes. I would like to see any new stages and characters be added as paid DLC for Wii U and be included as the Switch port. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast. It brings us some interesting points. Talking points on my local bi-weeklies. Okay, cool. Well, Vayseth, since apparently you already know the answer for this, will the Smash Switch be an issue logistically for at least national events, since they'd have to buy all the games and the consoles?
Absolutely not. The only issue that we had at the very beginning of the game, one of the biggest problems we had was actually finding the adapters. At this point, if a Switch came out, if a Smash Switch came out, you would already bet that Gaming Generation and Tyler Hack down in Florida or Southeast, down in the Southeast region, and 2GG, I believe they don't have systems. They still do the venue fee refund thing, I believe.
Yeah, so, they do.
like all of the big names that provide consoles for big tournaments, like they already are setting aside money and are ready to like go buy these things and like get ready for it. So like, and if you're as big as Gaming Generation or whatever, like you're gonna have contacts. Like they got their Apex systems as part of the sponsorship deal with Apex 2015, I believe. I'm actually not sure, but I know that like they got a lot wholesale. And the only reason I know that is because I had to help unlock them the day before Apex 2015. We had all the systems and all the games like fresh out of the box, and we're opening them, plugging them in, and unlocking the game so we can get them ready for Friday for the tournament. Like that was pretty crazy. But like yeah, that could be one of the things. If we have like an adapter that we need specifically for the game, that could be an issue. Like we'll need them. But I think we've grown big enough where like maybe somebody we can talk to Nintendo and like especially like somebody like Gaming Generation be like, yo dude, like we need these like for your game so we can help you sell your game. Give us these. And we might even get them at wholesale.
I think the only issue that's going to arise is you might see an issue at the local level.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you bring that up because my local TO, his name is Paper Fairy, he listens to the show, so shout out to him. He was saying that he had just like a little bit of a concern because he's got some setups and, you know, he has to rely for like maybe 2/3 of them to be brought by the people who go to the tournament, but like not everyone's going to have a Switch, you know, like at first. So it could hurt attendance. So he was just mentioning like if he had to buy those, I mean, there'd be no way he could because that also includes the DLC, the game. I mean, at least what, $500 maybe?
I mean,
$400?
in theory, like we don't know if there's going to be DLC or whatever, but
true.
Like,
actually, that's very true.
Because Mario Kart
True.
8 Deluxe didn't have any of that stuff.
Right, it would likely be like it would likely be a gold or master edition, or whatever you want to call that, where it comes with just everything.
Yeah, Game of the Year edition, whatever. But the thing is, like, do you guys remember 3 years ago when we were starting this? Like, nobody had Wii U's. Like, the only reason people bought Wii U's was for this game. So, like, when we were starting 3 years ago, nobody had them. But, like, we got away just fine. Like, yeah, some tournament brackets ran behind. But at the local level, like, more people got out and bought them. And they saw it as, like, an investment. Like, if I go out and buy this Switch and, like, there's nobody bringing them to the tournaments and I'm going to get $5 to $10, $15 refunds every single time I bring my setup, it's kind of like an investment. Like it pays it back over time. Like I'm going to go to these tournaments anyway. So I'm going to go splurge, get this money.
It pays for itself too.
Here's the difference though, is that I feel like the Wii U was a little more, like it was already out for a while still. I think it had been out for like a year by the time Smash came to it. So you did have more people with that. So like if, let's say Smash Switch came out in like November, right? Not quite a year yet, so you're gonna have less people with that just by basis of time, and our scenes are also bigger now, for the most part, right? Like we've seen growth, so I think for the like most people when the game first came out, I would say at least in Chicago, most locals were getting anywhere from 20 to 40 people.
You also have to remember that we're gonna get a huge influx of new people who have Switches, got Smash, and want to go out to this as well, because that's what happened with Wii U. We had people who we had never seen before, who bought a Wii, played For Glory a lot, and came to these events. And now, like, some of them became regulars, some of them dropped off. But, like, we're also going to have some of that. So I feel like we'll be fine, even at the local
I don't
level.
think you're going to see as much new, though, because it's going to be the same game. And a lot of the people who are competing already are just going to have the system again, like, who are just going to transfer over. I definitely think there's going to be an issue at the local level. Because, like, right now, I don't know that I can pull 10 to 12 setups for a 90-man local that we run in Chicago. And I feel like a lot of
you're going to have more once it's a new game, too. You're going to have way more numbers than that.
Oh, yeah. If it re-releases, it's going to come... More people are going to come back into the scene, especially. I think that's where you'll see your biggest rise in numbers is returning players that you haven't seen in a while versus new players. But I still don't think that you're going to have all these, like, abundant switches. Like, I think that out of a 90 to 100-man bracket, let's say that was our average or whatever, I think we'd probably pull 7 to 8. And that is a very late running. Like, could you imagine with MSM? Like, what are they going to do? Do you think they're going to pull, if they pull a 150-man bracket, do you think they're going to pull enough switches for that? Probably not.
I mean, it gets complicated with the idea of an adapter. If the current Wii U adapter can be used with the 2 USB ports that are currently on the Switch, which I believe there is, right?
I don't actually. I think there is, yeah.
Yeah, so assuming that works, then it'll be fine. If we need an all-new something to play it, it'll be way harder.
I don't think... No, but like that's not the point that I'm making, though, that the adapter... Regardless of the adapter issue...
No, I'm saying, like, it's going to be hard regardless, but I'm saying it will get exponentially harder if there's another thing that you need.
If there's an adapter shortage on top of a switch shortage,
right?
Yeah, it's gonna be awful. Although I still feel like you'd be able to function. I think you'll definitely be able to fill the switches with adapters. Like people will buy adapters no matter what, even if they don't have a switch yet, especially if there's like a shortage idea. But I just think that it's gonna be hard no matter what for local scenes to fill in switches, and I think just like statistically, you're gonna be 2 to 5 switches short of where you'd want to be, depending on your size.
Especially if it comes out during the holidays, like that's going to just create even more shortage because people are possibly waiting till the holidays to buy their Switch, Smash or no Smash anyway.
Right. I mean, Switch is selling really well, but we don't know to exactly what audience. I've seen some Smashes with them, but I haven't seen like a huge influx. I'm not seeing
a lot of
Mario
people
Kart.
are waiting. A lot of people are waiting because they weren't convinced by Zelda, at least at the Smash level.
Yeah, I'm not seeing all these people bring their Switches to these events, and I'm not hearing a ton about it. I know some people who bought it, but that's concerning at the competitive level where we need them to bring it, versus with Wii U, I feel like I just saw more people with it.
Yeah, so I guess TLDR, at the national level, I don't think it'll be a problem. Like, it's the problem of the company that has to get the equipment, otherwise they're going to go to somebody who can. So because it's their job and their livelihood, yeah, they're going to get them. I don't think it'll be a problem. They got them for Apex 2015 in the middle of a Wii U and a adapter shortage. I think they'll be fine. At the local level, yeah, it's going to be hard, and it can only get complicated the more peripherals or whatever we need to actually play the game.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that covers the extended runback for episode 20.
Wow, it's been 20 weeks already.
Somewhat. Did we ever miss a week? We did once.
We did when I was at Civil War, and then immediately went to Gears AC, so we missed that week.
Right.
Damn, not too bad. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you're a new listener, you should peep it from the beginning if you can. If not, just at least the last 3.
I keep the first episode listed in our spotlight on SoundCloud. So if you want to go back, our SoundCloud is always the first episode and then the last 4 that we've recorded. So the first one's definitely an interesting place. It's also fun to listen to, just to go back and see what happened in 2016, especially if you're brand new to this scene. You can kind of see where we came from, see what happened last year.
It's still by far our most played episode. I think that's where everybody likes to start anyway. But
yeah, it's zany. Smash is definitely still super unpredictable. So stay tuned for the ride.
Yeah, we have a lot of these questions. I think we have at least another dozen or so questions that we didn't get to. We got a huge influx of questions, so thank you guys all. And we'll definitely be doing this again. So we even highlighted some that we wanted to get to that we didn't have time to today. So I apologize for that. And we will get to your questions. Some of them, if you're man, it's been months and they haven't answered my question. Some of them we actually have plans to do later specifically. So don't worry about it. We'll get to them eventually. So keep them coming. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sage, get us out of here.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening every week. As always, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, all the good major podcast sites. If you have any questions, be sure to send them to us on email at thesetcount@gmail.com or send them to us on Twitter through a DM at thesetcount. DMs are always open. So we appreciate you guys. It's super fun to do this every week. It is a lot of work, though, so...
Yeah, no.
Definitely show some support when the tweet comes out, when we release Friday morning. If you can give us a retweet, give us a little share or something, show your friends, bring it to your Smash scene and be like, hey, look at this cool podcast, whatever. It always helps.
And specifically, let us know if you like this, because this is definitely something that I think we all really enjoyed. We really liked hearing from everybody directly. It gave us a lot to think about over the weekend and how to structure the show. So if you like this kind of show, let us know. We might do them multiple times a month.
We had plans to do a show like this pretty much from the very start, right? We had talked about doing listener mail type
for sure,
shows. It's just we finally have a bank that we were like, all right, it's time. Let's get to it.
Right. But I feel like if people like this and they keep writing in, this could definitely be something we do more regularly. So please shout us out, let us know what's up.
I'd love to do this once a month.
Yeah.
At the very least. So thank you all again. So once again, this has been Vayseth.
And a global Suar.
And this has been Unrivaled Sage.
And we'll catch you next week.
complete.